Welcome back to the 1090/Finding Strength podcast collaboration.
Full circle.
That was first go. I think that worked.
That was really good.
Should we do take two?
No.
I think
No, that
Go
works.
with that.
I love it.
Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here, man? I've never done a joint podcast before. I don't know what to do. No, this is rad. I love it, man.
For starters, I do love your guys' podcast.
Likewise.
Me and Ryan, we just got a Jamba Juice and we were talking about it. And I'm like, it's so weird to me that like I watch your guys' clips. Like it has like 5 likes on it. And I'm like, this is so amazing what they're saying. I'm like, yeah.
Exposure, bro. We got to have our big break on the Finding Strength podcast. Well, at least on social media.
Well,
Fortunately, we have a decent
have a good following
listenership, which is cool. But they're all,
like,
I think it's because they're old. I don't know. Are you guys all
I remember
old?
when we started our therapy sessions,
Yeah.
I think I saw your podcast equipment. I figured you did a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what inspired me to start a podcast. Because you're like, you could help people. And I'm like, well, okay, but like, how do I help people? And I'm like, well, I could do a podcast. Because talking helped me a lot.
Talking to a microphone with somebody else.
It's kind of like when you're really mad at someone, you write them that really mean letter and then you throw it away. That's what podcasting is. But instead of throwing it away, you just upload it on the internet for everyone.
And then everyone has it forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
And then
but you forget about it.
Right. But then like most people on planet Earth will never hear about it or know about it and won't care. And that's fine. But some people, they'll care.
A lot. Some people, it's like life-changing.
Right. And those are the people that you focus on and the rest is see you later.
I've heard podcasts that have been pivotal in just my journey.
Yeah.
I listened to your freaking podcast and some of the people that come on there and the stories.
Yeah, brutal.
I mean, it's amazing.
You get some very vulnerable people too that are very open to sharing like details.
And a lot of people tell us no. Like Ryan and I will reach out to people and they'll say,
no.
I mean, it's not for everyone.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
true.
For everyone,
it's not,
and rightfully so. Like people handle grief differently, but the people that we do get on, we've had some warriors on here that really open up. And
amazing.
I mean, the thing that one of the things I've learned is, my story is actually not the worst story, and I'm actually not alone.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people dealing with this type of grief. And I mean, that's one thing you told me in one of our first sessions is like, Mason, there's a lot of people that have sat in that same chair with similar stories. And I didn't believe you. I was kind of mad when you said that. I'm like, okay, like what? And you told me the story of Maui. And I'm like, okay. And like, I'll listen. Like, just very humbling. Like, wow, okay. Like, that's pretty fucking brutal.
It is.
And I don't know where we're going with this, but another thing that's been on my mind lately is what makes a good therapist, or maybe that's a bad way of looking at it.
No, I like it. Keep going.
What was it about Matt that made it work versus all the other therapists I saw? And one of the things that I think...
I was like, damn, you better not make me answer this question. Dick.
That's what I was hoping you were going for.
No, one of the things... because like you get in the world of podcasting and public speaking, and then it's great because you're just forced to have all these opportunities to talk about it and think about it. So I've thought about it a lot. And I think one of the things is... because it was just so hard for me to talk. I just couldn't talk about it even in these therapy sessions. I was talking about other things to avoid the main thing. I was talking about people I was dating to just avoid talking about the thing.
Because it's so painful.
Yeah, like let's talk about other problems.
Well,
like let's talk about me drinking alcohol versus why I'm drinking alcohol.
Because you're avoiding the feeling.
Right.
You didn't want to feel the feeling.
And so I couldn't talk about it. And so I'm thinking back to our first session, and I've talked a lot about how you told me it wasn't about me, and it's an opportunity, which is obviously still true, and that had a big impact on me. But I think what got me talking to you was you started talking about your stuff, and you got emotional, and you cried. And I think maybe I mentioned this on a podcast that we've done before, but like that is really... like you led by example, like, wow, this guy's really opening up. And you never asked me to talk about it. You never poked or prodded at all. I think you could tell I couldn't really talk about it. So what did you do? Like, well, I'm just going to tell him my demons.
Mm-hmm.
And what did I do right after you told me that yours? I told you about the night of the accident.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think.
What did it
What am I
create for
even
you?
saying?
What did
I
that
don't
create for you?
I guess like a comfort zone,
Okay.
or like, okay, Matt doesn't think he's smarter than me. Matt doesn't think he can solve my problems. Matt's been hurt. And because Matt's been hurt, he wants to help other people. And I just felt kind of safe, and there was no clipboard. There was no generic questions. I was at your house. You were in street clothes. We were talking about Tool 10 minutes before. Like it felt more, I don't even know, genuine. And yeah, it felt like you were a human.
Connection.
And then it allowed me
to
like, okay, like if this guy's opening up, I can.
When I talk to therapists and help them understand like this concept that you're talking about, not like that I'm like an expert at it or anything, but for whatever reason, it comes very naturally to me to be authentic. And when I learned that authenticity literally resonates with an energy, and that is what people pick up on, and that your body creates vibrational frequencies with the emotional energy that you create. And when you are authentic and aligned with the energy that your body's creating, it literally, the field within which you can measure that vibrational frequency expands. There's a lot of fancy words for the more authentic you are, the farther you can reach. And that's just kind of what I've always felt was important. And modeling that for people, because when most people are dealing with the difficult moments of their lives, traumas and talking about all that horrible, awful, dark shit that we don't ever want to think about, it's really hard to be authentic about how I see that.
Is that just because the authenticity, like the amount of pain it brings?
It hurts.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk, because if I'm really truly authentic in talking about the grief and the emptiness that I feel inside of me when I think about the loss of, for me, like my childhood best friend. Like I literally right now I'm getting choked up when I actually go there. And what I've learned along the way is that that's a skill set. It takes practice to be that present with that feeling. And along with that practice comes an understanding that feeling is ebbing and flowing constantly. That energy is wave particles, right? It is waves turning into particles. That's what we're experiencing. And that is constantly shifting. And what my mentors taught me is that you can teach people how to do that, how to witness that for themselves. And that the idea that something outside of you can heal you is false. You have to be able to sit with what's inside of you and allow it to do the healing. And that in and of itself requires you to sit with the feeling, because the feeling does the healing.
But the feeling's the
TM,
worst part.
made that up right now.
The feeling does the healing. No, it's true though. The feeling does the healing.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one else can.
But what's really cool now is that in the therapy world, that idea is resonating on a very widespread platform because of therapeutic models like internal family systems. Mm-hmm. I was at a conference all day today for 8.5 hours talking about IFS stuff. Amazing, this model. And it's these absolutely brilliant people who literally stumble into discovering something about ourselves that we had no idea. And it's pivotal for the human race. I mean, this guy, 40 years ago, his name's Dick Schwartz. That's really his name.
That's a tough name.
This guy is such a freaking badass, dude.
Yeah.
40 years ago, he stumbles into this, the first podcast we ever did together, we talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Stumbles into this idea that inside of every human being is a self, is a a spiritual energy that is designed to heal us if we give it space. But the thing that's in the way of that is all of the parts of us that we believe are our actual personality, that are shrouding the parts of us that are good and whole, but the parts of us that show up that are shrouding those parts come as a result of trauma.
So, sorry, I just have a quick question.
Go for it.
Before the accident, because I've always had these parts. It's not like they've never been there. But it's before the accident, it was mostly just, I think my baseline was honestly just joy and content and happy with the life I had. And obviously I had anger and I had anxiety at times, but like minimal, like just here and there. And then boom, car accident. Now this anger emotion, the sad emotion, the depressed, let's fuck it emotion. Mm-hmm. They're just so much bigger and stronger and involved now. So like what is it about grief or being broken that causes that like what allows all these parts to be like you're just flooded with all these parts now? It used to be the main Mason was in charge and these other parts had flare-ups, but now it's just like WrestleMania. Everyone's in this ring at the same time and it's just they're all just trying to talk at the same time.
Now imagine that happens to you when you're 3 or 4 or 5 years old and you've lived with that your entire life and you don't know any different and you don't even know that that's what's been, you assimilate with these personality types, these parts, and you just think that you're an angry person or you just think that you're a bitter person or you think that you're, you need to make everybody happy around you all the time because if you don't, they're going to hurt you. And you've been doing that your whole life and you don't know any different. The beauty of therapy and really work, we're not going to even call it therapy. We're just going to call it work on yourself, is that you get to discover the beautiful parts of you that have been taken over by the hurt, the anger, the pain, and the things that you need to do to protect you. Because I have this thing that I do, right? We'll use people pleasing because that's such a common one, right? If I make everybody happy around me, they're pleased with me and I can feel safe. So my job now is to feel every emotional energy from everybody in the room and make sure that I make you happy and make you happy and make you happy. And as soon as you're happy, I'm okay. And I do that over and over and over throughout my entire life. And I think that that's just who I am. But I've been doing that my entire life because I had a mom or a dad who was emotionally volatile. And it wasn't safe to be authentic in my home. I had to take care of them because they weren't taking care of me. And that's become my quote unquote personality, but that's not really my personality. So what do I have to learn how to do? I have to learn to have boundaries and learn how to take care of myself and learn how to do the things that I need so that I can take care of the people that are important to me in my life. And that's the skill set. And that's the work, right? So when you lose your family in an accident, everything switches in an instant. And all of these parts of you show up because they have to.
And they want to help.
They're so helpful. They are helpful because you are angry.
Would it be awareness? Like
Definitely.
He hasn't, like you had more, now you have more awareness of your emotions. And instead of kind of like, oh, I'm kind of angry right now, but I can figure that out. But now your anger is like, you really feel your anger now. You really feel your sadness now. Yeah. And so it now that you have more awareness to it, it feels like it's taking over more now than it did before because of the loss of what happened. And it created that awareness.
So, and I might be getting a little off topic, but all these parts going on that we've talked about a lot with the IFS therapy and everything. One thing I've noticed about all these parts, the anger, the guy that wants to make a joke about everything and just, but this is just a joke. So let's just make everything a joke.
Yeah.
That's a good coping
and that's why you and I have got along really well, because I have that same part.
The depressed guy that wants to just die. Like all these are, okay, one of the things that shuts them all up, or they all agree with, is helping other people.
Yes.
It satisfies every part when I get a cool message on Instagram, like you helped save my life, or you helped me get to my therapy session, or whatever it is. all the parts feel they're quiet. They go away or they're satisfied. And I think
They're
that
contented.
yeah, that is something that all the parts share. The angry guy, the sad guy, the guy that's trying to make it all the guys, that's one thing they agree on. None of my parts complain when we're helping other people.
Well, because it's like you have no bad parts, right? Like the book says, no bad parts. The way the parts work, I feel that works for me, is that every part, even my angry part or my sad part, they actually are looking out for me. They're actually protecting me.
Right.
But are they protecting me? You know,
in their own way.
Yeah, in their own way, right? So I have to make that connection with them and be like, well, this isn't working for us anymore. We got to switch this up. But I think that's why you feel that contentment, because all our parts, they're not bad for us. They actually want to protect us. We just have to have a awareness and a relationship with them and realize, is this helping me to become a better person? Is this part, or the way this part is handling this, is it actually not good for me? And do I need to have a check in with that part? But I think that's why you feel that contentment, because all of our parts want us to live happy and a full life. But we just have these parts of us from growing up and the beliefs that we made up about ourselves that they think they're protecting us when really they're hurting us.
No, for sure. And I think like the more that I've tried to communicate with all these parts, and it's still a struggle. Like I'm not an expert with this stuff.
Of course.
But one thing that I've gotten better at is when I'm in the phase of anger or in the phase of depression, I'm starting to understand that I will get out of that phase.
Boom.
And that, because I used to not be able to do that. Like when you're in that phase, that just feels like your life forever.
You feel stuck.
Yeah, like this is
never going to change.
And now, not that the being in those moments is any less painful, but now I understand, like, I'll get this phase or this part just needs a moment to express themselves and be heard and seen. And it will go away if I listen and just kind of handle it the best I can, but let them be a little angry or whatever it is. And then I'll slip out of that. And I used to not be able to do that.
That
and
awareness
is
huge.
That's something that I've been noticing. And not that, I still struggle with a lot of things, but that's something that I'm starting to notice about myself is I can feel phases coming in and out. I can feel myself even shift, like, oh, I'm shifting into this phase now. And I think eventually I can get to a point where I can maybe be in more control, where I don't shift into these phases, but at least I'm beginning to notice it.
Right.
And I think that's a healthy step.
For sure, because that awareness that comes about is helping you recognize that all things are temporary.
Right. Yeah.
Even emotions. They come and go,
and
and flow.
Unfortunately, even the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and then you want to get real gnarly and deep real quick. So are our lives.
Right.
And that brings you right back to the core.
That brings it full circle almost.
Right. And so what we learn from emotions and what we learn from the experience of experiencing emotions is that all things are temporary and everything is constantly in flux and change. But the less we are open to exploring that truth, the more resistant we are to that truth that everything is changing, and we want things to stay the same. And we hate change.
We hate change. I mean, I love that clip you guys were talking about. And I shared it. I'm like, it's like the Castaway clip.
Yeah.
Or like people, like your grief, it's saving you. Like that island saving him. It's the only thing keeping him alive, but it's also the only thing killing him. Like he's not, like, he needs to leave the
He's gotta
island.
leave.
Even though it's the only thing keeping him alive. And he might die.
Yep.
And that's grief. Like, to get out of this sometimes, like, that's what it feels like. Is, like, this grief sucks, but it's what I know, and it's keeping me alive at least. And it's so terrifying to try to work on yourself and leave the comfort. Or at least that's how I interpreted it.
The devil I know.
The clip. Yeah, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't.
Yeah, that's and what that ends up really coming down to is, just so everybody's aware, the reason why we're doing this joint podcast is because we're having an event. Woo! We're going to do a joint event with 1090.
Yep.
Mason's going to talk. Brindy's going to host. I'm going to talk. It's going to be amazing. Ryan's going to freaking film it. We're going to try and provide a really pivotal, mind-blowing. No, I don't want to talk it up too much. We're going to change your lives forever. 6 hours.
Yeah, no.
No, we're going to get together on a Saturday around the anniversary of the accident.
Yeah.
And we're going to do an event in kind of like in honor of your family, as well as we want to bring something to the world to make it better. Because the thing that we align on is always the thing you're talking about just a second ago, this we over me thing. When I'm helping other people, when I'm contributing to the world, I feel okay. I'm contented. I'm fulfilled. And what it comes right down to is that whole island thing, right? People default to living for certainty. And this will be one of the things we talk about in our event is the 6 human needs and choices around the 6 human needs. Brindy and I did a podcast not too long ago on happiness, which we talk about the 6 human needs. You did one about human needs as well.
Yeah, with Sam, like a long time ago.
A while ago. And those are both fantastic ones to check out. We definitely want to integrate that into what we're doing, because understanding how to meet your needs, which needs are important to meet, and more importantly, which needs are important to meet, understanding how to meet as many needs as possible. So in the analogy of, the island, Tom Hanks stuck on Castaway Island,
What is the actor's name? I don't even know.
Tom
I just call him
Hanks.
Tom Hanks. No, I know the actor's name.
Oh.
But for
The character's
show,
name?
like the character's name.
Oh,
I don't even know.
I don't know either. That's funny.
No one
I'm like,
knows.
it's
not
Tom
Wilson.
Hanks.
We know it's not Wilson.
Dude, the Wilson scene.
That's pretty funny.
It's brutal.
You know, I
And
gotta
it's a
look it up.
volleyball mat.
Because
And it's the worst scene. Wowza! And dude, like,
I remember watching my brothers crying, dude. Crying.
how about, okay, same thing with the movie. What's the cartoon where it's basically no bad parts? It's Inside Out.
Inside Out, yeah.
Oh,
Inside
I
When
Out.
love
Bobo,
that
or
movie.
what's the clown's name? Bing Bong?
Chuck. You guys, his name's Chuck.
Oh, Chuck. His name's Chuck.
Chuck.
She looked it
Chuck
up.
Noland.
But you guys remember Bing Bong in
Bing bong.
when he dies?
Yes,
Yeah.
I bawled my face off.
The
And
representation.
he's not even real. He's not even real. And like, yeah. So
You all
weird.
bought-
Because we all connect with that childhood like imaginary friend.
Or it's like the war movie. All these people are just getting butchered, and then the dog dies, and people are like, "What? Not the dog!" I'm like, "What? Where have you guys been during this World War II? But what are you talking about?"
Why'd you put a dog in here? That's not fair.
Yeah, like what? But what? Whatever.
It's true. Because we have this idea, right? My mind has this idea. It's this preconceived expectation around how things should go. My requirement.
Certainty.
Right? And everything that's happening in my life has to go according to this plan, or my brain freaks out. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of life, is understanding that things are not going to go the way you plan, and you have a plan.
That's the only thing I know for sure. Is nothing's for sure.
No.
It's
Nothing's
like-
for sure.
Yeah.
No, we're fucked. And that's the truth.
Yeah, thank you. Like
We really
But
are.
what are you gonna do about it?
Exactly.
Yes.
And along the way, while we're all screwed up until this point where we die, along the way, how are you going to help?
Yeah.
And so the most base human need is the need for certainty. And then the highest human need is the need for contribution. And so what we is greater than me really is meeting that need for contribution. When you do that, you're fulfilled.
Yeah, I was Ryan and I went to speak to Wink Click, and we did like a Q&A at the end. It was an awesome venue, by the way. How many people were there, Ryan? Maybe 14. Yeah. Like small group.
Intimate. I love
But it was
that,
like in the
though.
back of
Yeah.
a restaurant, like a curtain divided up. Like the whole restaurant could hear me probably.
Oh, that's
As they're-
awesome.
And I'm just crying. I'm just like doing my thing.
You're like plates,
Yeah.
forks
I'm
clicking
like
on
getting
plates.
like high fives from waiters leaving the restaurant. Like I'm like, oh shit, like how many of these people are Anyway, there's a Q&A at the end of Wink Click. And one of the questions is for someone going through Ryan, maybe help me out here. But the question was something like, what advice do you have for people that are going through something similar?
okay.
And I said, you got to ask for help.
Boom.
I love it.
Like, that is,
Can't do it alone.
and I said that, like, I'm not here today because Mason Sawyer. I'm here, like, if you could see my support group, that's like, I asked for help. And it was really hard. and then I told him the Zeke Pike example. I'm like, I interviewed this guy, Zeke Pike, and he went to rehab and he's in this thing. And the whole point of this activity that they're doing in this rehab,
It's like a rope course, right?
this
And they
rope course.
blindfold them.
And they blindfold everyone. And they're like, if you finish it, we'll announce your name and you're out. And so Zeke, he's in here, he's blindfolded. He's a competitive guy, college athlete. And he hear, Amanda, you're done. John, you're done. Like 5 minutes in, these people are done. And he's just blindfolded, like getting pissed. Like, where the fuck? Like, what the hell? And he's like, dude, Mason, he's like, all you had to do, he's like, there was no way out of the course. He's like, all you had to do was ask for help. The minute you asked for help, they took the blindfold off. Like, good job, you're done. You can leave. That was the whole thing.
Wow.
And I'm like, Zeke, how long were you in there? He's like, hour and a half.
Yeah.
And like, that's it. And so that was my answer. Like, you have to ask for help. And then like on the drive home, I'm like, it's so weird because two things I've learned is helping other people is the best medicine. And what did I have to do to help myself so I could help other people? I had to ask for help.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I made that connection.
That's huge.
It was like,
that's cool.
I had to
Yeah.
ask for help. And so what is the number one thing I should do in return? I should help people.
others. Yeah.
And that's why we're doing this event. Or that's why I'm doing the event.
That's why I'm
is
that's why I
Because we
that's
can
why I
help
wake
people.
up in the morning.
we can help people. I think.
That's the whole for me, every single day that I wake up, my first thought is 99% of the time is let's go. Time to go to work. And that's been a huge mentality shift for me because I learned from the one and only Brene Brown, who we're going to talk a lot about at this event, I'm sure, because her stuff is amazing.
Yeah, I remember
Dude.
before we even had our first session, you're like,
I probably
Yeah,
said
we
just
read
like-
a book, huh?
you're like, you need to listen to Brene Brown.
Yep.
I'm like, who's that? And you're like, oh God.
Get ready.
Like, just couldn't
Go
even-
read Darren Grayley. It'll change your life.
You're like, you need to just study Brene Brown. I'm like,
She's
okay.
great, dude.
I'm like, oh,
And-
okay.
And she says this thing. She's like, most people wake up in the morning, their first thought is, I didn't get enough sleep. Right? And that's so true for a lot of people. I talk to people, what do you think about when you wake up in the morning? Oh, how tired I am. Right? And so I shifted that mentality and I teach that to people now. Like when you wake up, put your feet on the ground, be grateful for the fact that you put your feet on the ground. And then what are you going to do?
So I just have to interrupt. Real
Go for
quick. I'm sorry, but you've been working with my sister Carly because she's going.
Maybe,
through
I don't know. Sure.
I'm like,
it. Or am I not supposed to say that? Sorry.
You can say whatever you want. I don't know.
But we're chatting and she's like,
HIPAA's not that important.
oh my
or,
gosh.
okay.
You can say whatever you want.
Mason.
You can say whatever you want, dude. I don't even know who you're talking about.
Ryan, maybe you can edit that out. Okay. Well, I don't know where. Okay, what?
She's not going to
Anyways,
care.
anyways.
Okay, let me
She's not
just
gonna
say
care.
this. We can figure.
We'll
I
get
don't-
her consent before we release this thing. You okay with that, Carly?
I didn't say why. Anyway,
It doesn't matter.
but we were just chatting, and she's like, "Are you doing Matt's morning routine?" I'm like, "No." Like, what's Matt's morning routine?
I love
And
this.
she's like, "It's intense." And she explains it. I'm like, "Dang, like that's intense." Like, you want to explain it real quick? It's like cold showers. It's like, what is this morning routine?
The morning, it's the 4 for free. Take it away, Brindy.
It's the 4 for free. You
What do we
don't
do?
This? Mason,
I
why
don't
don't
do
you
this.
do
This is something that came about
It did
after.
come after. That is true.
Yep.
Yeah. So the 4 for free.
Last 2 years, I've been doing this with literally everybody who comes to the office.
I'm glad I
Yeah.
missed it because this sounds.
You're
brutal.
like, I don't want to do this. Yeah.
Brindy and I do this every
I
day.
mean, my
do it
life's
every
bad
morning,
enough.
yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the 4 for free is we wake up, you want to get sunlight within
Right away.
where we live, it's really hard, but within like 5 to 10 minutes when you wake up, you want direct sunlight from the sun.
Okay.
That's free. And then breath work. It's what do you, yeah, there you go. Get it. Blow it out. Oh, there it is. Now
That
do that
feels
like
so
30 more
much
times.
You do 5 to 10 breaths
Yep.
with a brief hold,
Yep.
3 rounds.
Yep.
So big deep breaths, 5 to 10 of those or more. We do like 20 to 30 breaths typically because that's
Yeah.
like part of this is Wim Hof method stuff that we took as well to kind of incorporate into this whole thing. It comes from all sorts of neuroscience stuff.
Yeah.
That is just we've found basically we are a lab, a working lab, And as much as to my everlasting chagrin, so are all my clients, because we're constantly trying things. And I say, hey, I just learned this. Do you want to try it? And they're like, sure. And they give me feedback on what works. And this is stuck for the last couple of years.
Stuck, yeah.
So sunlight, breath work, 5 to 10 breaths, 3 rounds.
And then we do a cold plunge, but cold shower. You can do that too for 2 to 3 minutes. You want to just get up to 11 minutes a week is when you start feeling the effects of it changing. And then, is it like a brisk little workout? Because is it the push-ups? What is it?
30-minute workout.
Well, not even, like, you don't even have to go 30 minutes too. It's just like moving your body.
You want to get 30 minutes
20 to 30
movement.
minutes of movement of your body.
Yeah. To warm you up after the cold.
Yeah.
And then you go on with your day. That whole thing should take somewhere in the neighborhood of 45 to 60 minutes. Most people, what I say is wake up about 15 minutes earlier than you normally do, and you'll be able to get this done. And 90% of people who do it are like, this is amazing. I'm never stopping. And they stick with it. As far as I know, who knows? They could be lying. But
well, I feel like it's been a game changer for us. Yeah. Like we've loved it.
Someone I know loves it.
Someone I love knows it. But that's the kind of stuff that I have found to be paramount in creating change for people.
Well, and here's what I'll say about it. One of the biggest things about it, it's hard to do every day.
It sucks.
It is gnarly. So you're like, oh, I'm so glad. But it is. And there's mornings where I'm like, God, I don't want to do this. But then I push myself mentally. And then there's another gain right there where I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to push myself through it. I'm going to do something hard. And it's kind of cool because then it sets up your day. Like, I got my hard shit out of the way. Okay, now I can just go on with my day.
And why do you do it every day? What's the reason behind it? Is it just about you? Or is it maybe about the we, not the me?
Well, yeah, no, it's so I can go out there and make it about the we. Like, I got to take care of me so I can take care of the we. And then once I do that and get it out of the way, it's like, all right, here we go. What's next? Who are we going to help today?
Yep. And usually it's our children.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, raising kids it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
It's hard, yeah.
And teenagers, they're not nice.
They're not.
And you got to have a lot of patience. And this creates a lot of patience, creates a lot of change in your nervous system.
Yeah.
And when you do this kind of thing consistently, your nervous system is a different nervous system. And so when we're doing trauma work, what's the thing that we're working on? The nervous system.
Nervous system, yeah.
And so this integrated perfectly. And so what I do now with people is we create this foundation for before we go into doing trauma work stuff. And we start with literally like almost the first month that I work with anybody. I'm like, hey, dude, are you doing the 4 for free? And they're like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm like, you feeling any changes?
No.
It's cool.
Can we tell them a little bit more about the event we're doing?
Yeah, dude.
The topics we're going to talk about.
Sure.
Yeah.
And pull up, because you kind of, I got it right here. So some of the topics we're looking to speak on is.
So will you, what are you going to do? Because I think I think the integral part is.
I like the Brene Brown's The Power of Storytelling.
Right. And that, for me, that's something that is extremely valuable.
Which I need to study and learn a little bit more about.
Well, you do it, man. That's what you do.
I'm saying that's what you're doing.
That's
you're
the
owning
whole
your
thing.
story and sharing it. Yeah.
Owning our stories. Brown encourages everyone to own their stories. This means accepting and embracing our imperfections and vulnerabilities and understanding that these are part of what makes our stories uniquely ours. By owning our stories, we can write our own brave new endings. That's what you told me about it. So.
Go ahead.
You become the author of your story instead of the character. You take control. And so that's what, like, probably, Matt, you will talk about, right? At the event. Yeah. I don't know. But you're the example of that. You're living that now.
The idea is Mason will tell his story and weave in hilarity and and tears.
Yeah.
And move you to change and bring in tons of gratitude. I mean, I've heard the thing that I'm most excited about with this whole thing is I've actually never seen you speak.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard your story. How many?
Well, we've seen snippets of it on like.
See, I was actually thinking about mixing it up and creating a whole new thing, but maybe I'll just do my own thing. My regular thing.
Do you, bro?
I think we give the people what they want.
See, I never think about that.
Because audience comes last for you. Hashtag Rick Rubin. That's for me too, man.
I would
do this.
say this is the way I see it in my mind is, okay, back to the we versus me.
Okay.
If I'm the best way I can help the we is to be the truest version of me. So like if you get,
So you're saying authenticity?
yeah, so if you get caught up in this game of like what do the people want?
It doesn't work.
Then you're sacrificing the thing that they actually like about you.
Yes.
I don't care about that stuff.
Boom.
And I think that's what some people actually like is, because
So don't change your story for me, man, because I've never heard it. Do whatever the hell you want to do.
I mean, well, think back to when I started the podcast because you told me like you could help people. I'm like, okay. This is why I love We Is Greater Than Me. It's the perfect yin and yang because in a big way, I did it so selfishly. I just needed to save my own life and just talk about it, which I did. And then in return, some people liked it and then it grew. And now it's this balance of we and me. But I honestly believe like if I get caught up in what makes a cool clip or what do then I'm losing what makes me. And then I can't really help the we because there's a Matt Quackenbush already. There's a Ryan Garner. There's people already. There needs to be a Mason Sawyer.
Yeah. There's a you for for some reason because you're going to bring something to the table that he can't.
Exactly. And that's why like people talk like you need to do merch. You need to do this. I'm like, dude, like I don't think I do at all though, actually.
That's why I love, oh my gosh. Okay. My favorite post of yours, and I look forward to them all the time, is when people message you and ask you to grow your following. And you always reply with a would you rather. And I love it. I get a crack out of it. And I'm like, this is why people love him because you're just so authentic.
Well, it says
it's not about the growth.
If you look at their message, it says, we are not a robot. We will respond. It's like, okay. Let's see.
Okay. Have you gotten anyone to respond?
I've gotten one response.
Okay.
And it was when I messaged back, they said, we can help you grow. I'm like, I'm actually trying to lose followers. Do you guys help with that? And they messaged.
I saw that one.
They messaged back like, no, we don't do that. And I said, thank you so much you're the first person that's ever responded.
Yeah.
And we chatted for a minute. And then I'm like, I have Ryan and I don't need you, but like, thanks for responding.
Yeah. That's cool though.
But that's what I really believe about We Is Greater Than Me is you can start helping the we and then you get lost in the we likes you. And so then you try to kind of like impress the we. And then in doing so, you lose what made you. And then you can't help them anymore.
Then it becomes about me again.
Yeah, you get the ego just takes over, I think.
And that's really hard for everybody, right? I mean,
I think that's humanness, right?
Sure. I get on stage, man, and I speak, I speak in front of 20 people and I'm like, oh, dude, it's only 20 people. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm just grateful to be able to teach.
Right.
This is my job. This is amazing. But then I get in front of like 500 people, I'm like, oh, I'm a badass. That's really hard. It's really challenging. So I can imagine like what that does to people. I'm a pretty grounded dude, but then it's difficult.
There's a balance.
It is.
Yeah.
But what I think it is, and this is just, theorizing, there's an innate need to be significant, right? And that innate need to be significant requires feedback. To know that I'm important comes from me getting...
Come on.
Oh, what is this?
I'm trying to put it on silent. I'm sorry. I know. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
leave it to me
keep
to
it
do that.
down.
Freaking amateur hour. You're so adorable. I can't get mad at you.
Shut up.
He was on fire right there.
That's all right. I got to put out his fire sometimes.
What was I talking about?
Shit.
I don't remember. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But the need for significance drives our physiology.
Yeah.
To be important, to be singular, to be unique, to be special. Like, I want that. Of course I do. That's an innate need. But overriding that need, overcoming that need, and choosing love and connection over significance helps us be more fulfilled, helps us be happier. And so that's kind of the balance, right? Am I going to choose love and connection, or am I going to choose significance? I got a choice. And when I choose love and connection, I actually get significance out of that. So I'm meeting 2 needs rather than 1. And that's the whole humans needs model specialty, right?
Well, and
Is
that's
like
what
when you
we'll
choose
share at the
contribution, you
event.
meet all 6
Yeah.
needs. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying then that will be something that we'll talk about at the
Definitely.
event. Yeah.
Yes, we're talking about the power of storytelling, the 6 human needs. So the 6 human needs, real quick, by the way, are certainty, uncertainty / variety, significance, number 3, connection / love, growth, and number 6, contribution.
Yep.
That's some Tony Robbins stuff right there.
Yeah, Tony Robbins,
I love him.
so. And then knowledge creates change.
Oh yeah.
Understanding the fundamentals of how the brain works is life-changing. See, I love that, like the neurological stuff. Can I ask you and I don't know if you'll know the answer to this, but can I just explain a part of my brain?
If I don't know, I'm going to make it up. So please.
So like, if someone sends me a Instagram video, like just whatever, like a funny basketball clip or whatever, like I can't open it. I don't care to open it or watch it, but I'll send the laugh emoji. Like, because I don't want to be rude to my friend Sterling. Like, he sends me a clip, I'm like, haha, but I'd never watch it.
Sterling's listening to this. He's
Or
like, you never open my videos?
No, I don't.
What's funny is if it was like a sad video and he's like, haha.
But no, yeah, like that's why I got to look at the picture that the video is, because and I probably messed up. But anyway,
I'm gonna start sending you videos that are completely.
Here's another example. Like, if someone sends me a message 3 paragraphs long, my brain, like, I get scared of it. I can't. I'll read the beginning, I'll skip to the end, and then I'll look at the middle, and then I'll log out, and my brain just does stuff like that. And then this was a big problem right after the accident that I worked on a lot, but just this snowball of crazy thoughts that are just, and I know they don't make sense. Like, I'm going to drop Lou off at school, and he's probably going to choke during lunch, and teacher's not going to see him. He's going to choke. Like, just these snowball effects that I know are just not, I don't even know the word, like, not realistic. And so then I spend a lot of time talking myself down. And so then I'm just grieving over Courtney Reagan's Frankie Race Ryder. So I'm having conversations with them throughout the day. So my mind is just constantly in these own conversations. I'm in my own head all the time. And then I just have to smoke. I need weed I need a break from all this conversation happening in my head. Like, it's
just noise.
Yes,
noise,
I just need
Yep.
a break. So I smoke a little weed, and then they come back. But like, I just have so much internal dialogue, and there's so much, and it's weird. I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but it's weird because I know that it's unhealthy, and I can see these pitfalls that I'm falling in, but I still can't help but fall into them. But then I try to talk myself getting out, and it's just exhausting. And I don't know what that had to do with the long messages. I don't know if those are even correlated, but those are like some of my day-to-day things.
Yeah, no, that's one. You're normal. You have any ideas, Brindy?
Well, I'm like, that's anxiety.
There's anxiousness there.
I haven't
Like, I get a long message, you'd say that's anxiety.
Oh, it's so much. It's just like, whoa,
Yeah,
that's a lot. And then like the dropping off blue thing, 100% get you on that one with like, oh my gosh, well, if I drop them off.
Can you relate at all there?
I am, but I can only, So no, but the only thing I was thinking of, I'll be honest, when you were saying that, I'm like, oh, Mason needs to get in the cold. You need to get in the cold. Yeah. I'm serious. You need to try the cold
therapy would be helpful.
That would help my anxiety.
It helped. It was the number one thing that helped me with my anxiety. Got me off all of my SSRIs. It was the biggest game changer for my anxiety. For sure.
The thing that drives, so you're describing a brain process called rumination.
Yep.
Yeah, or a phone call. If someone calls me, I'm like, why are you calling me?
So
my mind just, like my brother Sage called me today. I'm like, why is he calling me?
Yeah.
This isn't good. Sorry. But.
No.
Yeah.
You're fine. So from a parts perspective, right, I have a part that ruminates because that protects me in some way. So we could do parts work with it, whatever, sure. You can also understand that my neurology is driven by my physiology, and I can affect my physiology with certain interventions like the cold, like breath work, like exercise, like diet, because that affects physiology, the chemistry of the body, and it will lessen the intensity of the rumination. However, it will not eliminate the rumination. That requires you to, or anyone, whoever, requires us to find the reason, one, why we're ruminating and how it's helpful according to the mind, and then replace it with some other more effective. You said healthy, but really let's talk effective.
Yeah.
More effective way of dealing with this feeling that I have, because I have a feeling. That feeling is physiological, and then a neurological process happens, and then engage rumination.
Well,
Because I'm
creates
now
a
no
story,
longer
right?
I'm now no longer in my body. I'm not feeling the feeling. I'm thinking the thinking, and my brain thinks that that's healthy for me. It's not just healthy; it's effective for me at dealing with this feeling. Right?
It's trying to help you,
It is,
but it's not.
right.
Yeah.
And so the
Yeah.
answer is feel the feelings,
Yeah.
work through the feelings, like you've been doing, and understand that the feelings come and go, ebb and flow, and that they won't always be there. So maybe I don't need to ruminate. And one of my absolute super simple favorite techniques, and you can try this, and listeners can try this too, it's called thanking the mind. And you basically, what you do is you externalize the thought, right? And you literally say this exact phrase: my mind is having the thought that, insert thought. Okay. And this is an externalization of thought. It's called thought labeling. My mind is having the thought that.
My mind is having the thought that Blue might die on the playground today.
Okay.
And notice how that feels in the body. Okay. And then you can say, thank you, mind, for creating that awareness. And then you can move on, and maybe things will shift.
Or
Maybe they won't.
So what I add to that, because I have anxiety too, especially with my kids, I add to that, well, that hasn't happened yet. So I don't need to freak out now.
Right.
That's what helps me.
That's where
Yeah.
the stoicism comes into
Yes.
me. And that's what
Yeah.
they're teaching me is like, and the same thing with death. Like, listen, you weren't born for billions of years and you were fine. Like, you weren't even alive and you were fine. And when you're dead, it'll be like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And you're not dead right now, so you're fine. So, and that kind
great.
of stoicism has really helped me.
It's good.
Like, wow, like really hone in on what actually is in my control. And you do, a lot of people, and I think this is what you're getting at, a lot of people like panic before they, over things that haven't happened yet.
Yes.
And that's where you've lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing that happens, though, that becomes really interesting is if the mind is the thing creating the thinking, and I'm using the mind to stop the thinking, I'm actually not changing anything chemically, because the mind is still doing the things. I have to get out of the mind into the body.
Like, connect them.
And so that's why you say, thank you, mind, for creating this thought that may or may not be helpful, that hasn't happened yet. Sure, that's still logic, right? That's still mind thinking. Now I can go into the body. How does this feel? What does it remind me of? I can take a breath. I can do parts work. Thank you, part, for coming up with that. I mean, there's so many different things, but the idea of thanking the mind is really beautiful, because now I'm not mad at it. Now I'm not saying, mind, here's why you're wrong. And I create this conflict in the mind, which actually creates more energy there. What I want to do is do some sort of kind of like judo move rather than a boxing move, because I don't want to get into conflict. I want the conflict to end. So in comes the thought. I see the thought coming. Thank you for that thought, mind. And I toss it right past me, and there it goes onto the floor, and there's the thought. And I don't even have to address the thought or even engage with the thought, because I understand, one, the thought's not really logical, but it's also not helpful. It's not effective, because does me thinking about my child choking actually prevent it from choking? No, that's logical. But also, what's the intention behind the thinking? What's the mind's intention? What is it? Why would my mind create the thought my kid might choke and die?
I probably, because I've experienced something similar, so it's probably just like protective.
Yeah.
More benevolent.
Yeah.
Let's think more benevolent. Why is the mind creating these thoughts? Yes, because of the past. Maybe he wants to solve the problem, Ryan says. What do you think?
What was the question?
So
Sorry.
like, why do I have the anxious
Why is my mind
blew my?
Why is so you can even ask your mind this question, right? Mind, why are you creating this? How are you trying to protect me?
I think it doesn't want me to experience that again.
Yes.
So
It's trying to get-
save you
like look
From
out.
what?
Like he
From what?
might,
from the feeling.
From the feeling.
Mhm.
And so what I do is I go into the feeling and I go, look, mind, this feeling is safe. Thank you for giving me that thought.
Mhm.
And I
and
go into the
you
feeling.
almost allow that part to be
Yes.
heard. Like
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
oh, like if as long as
Yes.
you heard it, then I guess we're good.
Well, because
Right.
it's your anxiety part speaking, right? And so you
Why
want to acknowledge,
Okay,
like,
but
thank
why
you
do you
for
have
bringing
to?
that
It's
up.
so weird that you have to talk.
Is
Like
it
you
though?
have to.
But here's the thing.
Like
You're-
if, but Matt, like if you
Yeah.
don't talk about it in your own head, even it can
But-
spiral. But by just
It
simply,
ruminates, yeah.
Is that just
Yeah.
so? It's so
it
simple.
seems strange. It is really simple. But another great analogy for this is like, okay, your child comes up to you and says, I want to watch TV. And you sit down and you get in front of him and you give him all the reasons why right now we can't watch TV. Is that going to help the kid not want to watch TV?
No.
He's going to get more and more angry.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you do with the kid? You say,
Why do you want to watch TV?
even better, I understand that you're frustrated because you can't watch TV. I'm not even getting into a debate with the kid.
You want to
Why-
make him
why
feel
would I-
heard.
Why would I
Yeah.
want to tell this kid what he can't understand? I just say, I understand you're frustrated, buddy. Let's feel the feelings together.
Yeah.
I will hold space for you. You're allowed to be frustrated with this. I'm not going to fix it. It's okay. This is a very normal, natural emotion to be frustrated because you've now been told that you can't do something. And a natural reaction for a human to hearing I can't do something is frustration. Cool. What do you need? The next step in this process, thank the mind, feel in the body, and then I ask myself, what is it that I need in this moment? Do I need to keep thinking about this? I need to feel something. Maybe I need to move on. Maybe I need to freaking, I don't know.
Go outside and put your feet on the grass.
Put my feet on the grass,
I'm
put it,
serious.
pop in some
Yeah.
freaking Metallica.
Music,
Dude,
yep.
freaking Enter Sandman sounds like an amazing song right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right? Or whatever. Mine's Orion, dude. I freaking can listen to that song every day. And I
That-
never get sick of it.
Did not one word in that song.
No
Just
lyrics.
So good.
Amazing, right? It's kind of meditative. I love that song.
I do. Oh, wait. Are you done?
Go ahead. I'm done.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
How is parenting for you now after the accident and then before the accident?
Oh man, I'm not sure if this is what you meant by the question, but we got 15 left.
Yeah,
But I think before the accident, I kind of viewed my kids as my kid. These are my kids, and it was like sports and school, and then college or a career, and helping them achieve all these goals and things. And then losing 2 kids and now having Blue, it's so different. It's like
I bet. Yeah.
I just want him to talk to me when he's a teenager. I just want him to come home and be able to talk to me. I don't care if he goes to college. I don't give 2 shits. I don't care if he plays basketball. I mean, that'd be cool, but I just appreciate time with him. I appreciate just the little nuances I have with just snuggling with him every night. I picked a job so I could take him to school and pick him up from school every day. Like that matters a
love it.
lot
Yep.
to me. I never thought about that before.
Yeah.
Like they can just get a ride, and that's fine. But like
For you, that's important now.
Yes,
for me,
now,
that's
yeah.
more like I'll sacrifice a better job if it means I can.
Have more time.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's just Blue is his own. He is my kid in a way. I mean, he is my kid, but he's his own person
Yes,
too.
yep.
And he could. I wish I had the knowledge to go back with all my kids and do this with them. But like I think I was kind of caught up in this program of what I thought a good parent looked like and what I needed my kids to look like the good dad. And now I just realize that's all bullshit.
Yes, it
It's
is.
all
I love
bullshit.
That's the
And-
thing we were talking about earlier, the requirements. The mind creates
Yeah,
this idea of how it's
like-
supposed to be,
Yep.
but it's
Exactly.
not real.
And it's just
No.
like
It's just my idea.
Yeah.
And if I base all my decisions off of that idea,
Yeah.
maybe that's what's creating my suffering.
and like we take him outside all the time, me and Sammy, and we teach
So
him about
cool.
how to plant a flower and like just
love
like
it.
appreciating a sunset.
Watching him ride that freaking one wheel is the
Dude.
cutest
Yeah,
thing
like-
on the planet,
It's
dude.
badass.
He's such
I'm
a
like,
little
this
stud,
kid,
dude.
I could even do what this kid
Oh,
does.
it's amazing.
So that's like the unconditional love and just appreciation of being a dad, and I get to raise this kid, and they don't care what you say. They do. I mean, they do. But like how you live your life, they are going to copy that.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
I agree.
So like,
yep.
Yeah.
You're modeling for them.
Yeah. And
we parented the way we parented because of our parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've learned a lot in that way, but we do have to wrap it up. But maybe real quick. So we're having a bunch of cool topics we'll talk on. Do we want to talk about, like, we don't even know where it's at or anything, so maybe we just...
we know where it's at.
It's gonna be, we have a warehouse.
Do we want to share that right now?
In Draper, Utah.
Or should we wait?
We'll get that information out to everybody
later.
We're gonna, so kind of stay tuned. We're gonna create an Eventbrite for people to sign up.
Yep. July. Do you want to give the date?
Yeah, so it's July 27th.
Okay.
It'll start in the morning-ish.
It's like an all-day event.
Yeah, like a 6-hour event. It's not going to be
9 to 3, right? Or
yeah, we don't plan on it being really intense, but we plan on it being impactful.
Yeah.
Lunch will be included in the cost of admission, which right now we're looking at like $100, but we're going to create some promo codes for people who are listeners of the podcasts so that they can get involved as well. We are open to sponsorships. People want to sponsor right now. Brighten a Day is providing sponsorships for families who've lost children, a part of the Brighten a Day family, so that they can go to the event for free, which is really
If anyone
super
wants
cool.
to cater the event, we're looking for that too. Someone to cater. Yeah.
Yep. I think the thing that I'll say me. I don't want to speak for you, Brindy, but maybe you can.
I mean, we're on the same line,
Yeah.
but go ahead.
This is something that we've wanted to do for a while.
Yeah.
I imagine this becoming something that we do more than once.
Well, I'd like to do it every year.
I think it'd be fantastic to do every year and grow it.
About yet,
yes,
I'd like to.
I think
Mason, we were thinking more.
Well, because I think for whatever reason, man, like the magic energy that we have created as we've come together through these incredibly painful, serendipitous, also like it's like tragic beauty is a word that I like to use, a phrase, which is so strange and oxymoronic, but it's true. The tragic beauty of our relationship, I think, has some energy to it. It's powerful. What 1090 does, what Finding Strength does, and putting that in a room with like 50, 75 people, however many, it's going to be freaking electric. I have no doubt that this is going to be life-changing for people.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I really think it'll be very, very cool.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, if you want to be a part of it or show up, we'll send out as many details as we can. Now that's it. How do we wrap this up?
That's it, man. I think that's how we wrap it up.
Stay tuned.
Life's 10% what happens to you, 90% what you're going to do about it.